Let's keep reading Ash Ketchum, Pokémon Detective. We are up to Chapter 8. Little Lost Stantler. There's a big city up ahead, Ash said. All right, we're getting closer and closer to Violet Town and the first gym in the Johto League. I can't wait to get another badge. Don't forget, you have to beat the gym leader first, Misty teased. Or maybe we'll have to help Officer Jenny solve another mystery, Brock said. He had a dreamy look in his eyes. The path they were walking on opened up. A busy metropolis stretched out in front of them. A huge green park sat in the centre of the town, surrounded by small buildings and colourful houses. Oops. Colourful houses. This place looks pretty normal to me, Ash remarked. I can't imagine anything mysterious happening here. Misty looked at a map. We have to cross through that park to get to the Pokémon Centre. Fine with me, Ash said. He took off down the trail with Pikachu at his heels. Leafy green trees bordered the path through the park. Ash could hear wild Pidgey calling to one another up in the treetops. What a beautiful place, Ash said. Don't you think so, Pikachu? Pika! Pikachu didn't look peaceful at all. The little yellow Pokemon had a look of alarm on its face. It hopped onto Ash's shoulder and pointed to a spot across the path. Is something there? Ash asked. He scanned the leafy border. Then he saw it. Two huge eyes were staring out from the leaves. Are those giant eyeballs? Misty asked. Brock squinted at them. I don't think so. Take a closer look. The eyeballs rustled the leaves. Now Ash could see that what looked like eyeballs were actually two Pokémon antlers, with two prongs each. Inside a set of the prongs were round balls that looked like pupils. I guess they're antlers, Ash said. But what are they attached to? The leaves rustled again. A head poked out. Wow, what's that? Ash wondered. He took out Dexter. A picture of the Pokémon popped up on the screen. Stantler, the big horn Pokémon, Dexter said. The pleasant odour coming from the eye-like shapes at the base of the antlers has a bewitching effect on... A bewitching effect? Oh, it's a bewildering effect, is it? That's right, it is a bewildering effect. It bewildered me. A bewildering effect on any who smell it. Statler generally form herds and live in mountainous terrain. I wonder what it's doing here in the town park, Misty said. Brock took a step closer. This one looks like a Stantler, he said. He looked thoughtful. Let's see. When approaching a Pokémon, it's best to imitate the Pokémon's behaviour so as not to startle it. Ash watched as Brock got down on his knees and started to crawl toward the Stantler. He knew his friend wanted to be a great Pokémon breeder. That meant being able to communicate with Pokémon and understand their needs. He wondered if Brock would be successful this time. Soon, Brock and the Stantler were almost nose to nose. That's it, Brock said in a soothing voice. Good little Stantler. Brock reached out a hand to pet the Stantler's neck. The Stantler stepped back a little. It made a soft whining sound. Brock examined the Stantler closely. Looks like it's hurt, Brock told the others. It has a small wound on its knee. If I can get it to trust me, I can help it. Brock carefully took a small piece of Pokémon food from his pocket. It was his own special recipe. Eat up, he told the Stantler. The little Stantler sniffed the food, but it didn't take a bite. Brock bit into it himself. This is good. Suddenly, Ash noticed a strange white vapour coming from the Stantler's antlers. The vapour travelled across the path and passed over their heads. Brock didn't seem to see it, though. Then Ash noticed something else. Something had appeared behind the little Stantler. It was a whole herd of adult Stantler. They pawed at the ground angrily. Misty noticed it too. She hugged to Jeppy tightly to her. Brock, Togepi. Sorry, I keep getting that one wrong. She hugged Togepi tightly to her. Brock, Ash whispered. Not now, Ash, Brock said. Brock, look up, Ash insisted. Brock raised his head. He froze. Then he slowly stood up. Guys, he said, it looks like they're going to stampede, Ash yelled as the Stantler herd charged at them. Chapter 9, Stantler Stampede. Instinct kicked in. Ash picked up Pikachu, then he turned and ran as fast as he could. The stampeding Stantler looked like a thunderstorm as their hooves pounded on the path. If the herd caught up, Ash knew they'd be crushed for sure. From the corner of his eye, he saw Misty and Brock keeping pace with him. We can't outrun them, Brock yelled over the noise. Maybe we can lose them, Misty said. It seemed hopeless. Ash thought he could feel the Stantler's hot breath on the back of his neck, and then suddenly the thundering noise stopped. Ash kept running. Finally, when he was sure it was safe, he stopped and looked back. The path was clear. The herd was nowhere in sight. We're safe, Ash said, panting. The Stantler herd had stopped stampeding. Brock gazed down at the path. That was strange. What happened to that hurt little Stantler, and where could such a huge herd have gone? That's what I'd like to know, a voice said. Ash, Brock and Misty turned. It was Officer Jenny. I heard you say you saw a Stantler stampede, Jenny said. All week I've heard reports of a herd of Stantler scaring people in the park, but we can't seem to find them anywhere. That sounds like a mystery to me, Ash said. Brock pushed his way in front to Officer Jenny. We can help you find that Stantler herd. We're professional Pokémon mystery solvers. I thought we were Pokémon burglary investigators, Misty muttered. Brock nudged Misty. He looked at Officer Jenny. What do you say? Can we help you? Officer Jenny looked thoughtful. Well, I do need you to come down to the station with me so I can file a report. Let's start with that. Ash and the others followed Officer Jenny to the police station. At the station, Officer Jenny told them about the Stantler attacks. That park is usually full of vacationing families, she explained, but the Stantler have been scaring them away. I thought Stantler lives in the mountains, Misty said. What are they doing in a park? It's very puzzling, Officer Jenny said. Brock nodded. It sure is. The park doesn't look big enough to support a herd of Stantler, and I didn't see any signs that Stantler had been feeding on the plants there. That's right, Ash said. Brock, it sounds like you have an idea about what's happening. I might, Brock said thoughtfully. Help! Loud screams came from outside. Ash and the others followed Officer Jenny as she rushed out to investigate. Ash couldn't believe what they found. What did they find? Jessie, James and Meowth were running down the street screaming loudly. When they spotted Officer Jenny, they skidded to a stop. Help us, Jessie pleaded. There's a herd of Stantler chasing us. Those must be the Stantler we just saw, said Misty. Brock looked down the street. Where are they? They're right behind us, James said. We've got to get inside. But the street was calm and quiet. There wasn't a Stantler in sight. They were here just a minute ago, Meowth said. Then it pointed. Look, there's one now. The small Stantler from the park came limping down the street. Let's get it and take it to the boss, Jessie cried. She held out a Pokeball. Then the white vapour poured from the Stantler's antlers again. The vapour wafted down the street and passed over them. Just then, as if they came out of nowhere, the Stantler herd appeared at the end of the street. The herd charged at the police station. Team Rocket ran off down the road. Everyone, into the station, yelled Officer Jenny. Ash ran towards the door, but he could see that Brock wasn't moving. His friend stood in the middle of the street, right in the path of the stampeding herd. Brock, what are you doing? Ash called out. Trust me, Brock said. He held his hands out to the little Stantler, who stood a few feet away. No need to be afraid. I won't hurt you. Brock, those Stantler are going to hurt you, Misty cried. Brock stood his ground. The Stantler ran closer and closer. Brock was a few feet away from being trampled. Brock! Ash yelled. He ran out into the street. Officer Jenny held him back. It's too late, Ash. Togepi covered its eyes. Ash couldn't bear to look either. The herd was just inches away from Brock. No! Ash screamed. The stampeding herd charged, snorting and stomping, up to Brock, and then they passed right through him. Ash gasped. It was as if the herd were made of air. The last Stantler passed through Brock, then the entire herd vanished completely. Brock let out a deep sigh. He turned to the others. See, he said, I told you there was nothing to worry about. Chapter 10. Giant Robot Stantler. Ash shook his head. I still can't believe you did that, Brock. You really scared us. Pika, agreed Pikachu. They were back at the police station. Brock was bandaging the wound on the little Stantler. You see, I figured out that the herd was just an illusion, Brock explained. This young Stantler was creating the illusion to protect itself. That makes sense, Misty said. Stantler can produce illusions with the round balls on its antlers, added Brock. Ash turned to Officer Jenny. Well, it looks like this mystery is solved. I must admit I'm impressed, Brock, said Officer Jenny. How did you keep your cool? Brock blushed. It was nothing. I saw the herd pass right through a building. That's when I figured out that this little guy was behind it all. The young Stantler was sleeping peacefully. Misty gently stroked its head. This little Stantler sure has caused some big trouble, Misty said. It couldn't help it, Brock explained. It was lost and alone in the park. It was scared. That's why it created the illusion of the herd to protect itself. Speaking of the herd, said Ash, we should get this young Stantler back to its family right away. Brock examined the bandaged leg. I think it'll be okay after a good night's sleep. We can help it find its herd in the morning. Officer Jenny gave them some blankets, and Ash and the others fell asleep in the police station. Brock stayed by the Stantler's side all night. The next morning, they took a trail out of town. Officer Jenny said it led to the mountains where Stantler herds were found. They followed the tree-lined trail all morning. Soon the trees gave way to rocky cliffs. The trail broke off and led up the mountainside. Brock faced Stantler. All right, he said. This path leads back to the mountains. The rest is up to you. The Stantler didn't move. It doesn't seem to want to go, Ash remarked. Can't it stay with us? Misty asked. It's so cute. Brock sadly shook his head. It belongs with its herd. It's too young to come with us. Brock looked into the Stantler's eyes. Don't you understand? It's for your own good, Brock said. The Stantler hung its head. Come on, get going, Brock shouted. Ash knew that although Brock sounded angry, he didn't mean it. He had to get the Stantler to go, no matter what it took. Hurry up, Brock yelled. The Stantler looked at Brock, hurt. Then it turned around and trotted up the path. Ash put his arm on Brock's shoulders. You okay, Brock? Brock nodded. It's the best way. Come on, let's go back to town. Ash and his friends walked back down the trail in silence. They all felt sad about saying goodbye to the Stantler. Suddenly, Pikachu stopped. The little yellow Pokémon turned around. It pointed up to the sky. Ash turned. Floating over the mountains was a hot air balloon decorated with a Meowth face. Team Rocket! Oh no! The little Stantler! Misty cried. Brock was way ahead of them. Ash watched his friends speed like lightning back to the mountains. Ash, Misty and Pikachu took off after Brock. They ran up the mountain path. Ash skidded to a stop. There, stomping down the mountain, was a giant robot Stantler. The robot had a silver body and blue lights in its eyes. A net dangled from the robot's mouth, and inside the net was the little Stantler. The Stantler kicked and struggled. White vapour came out of its antlers, covering the robot's head. In the balloon, Team Rocket grinned triumphantly. Too bad, said James. You can't fool a metal machine with illusions. Brock ran up the mountain. He jumped up and tried to grab the net. Let it go, Brock yelled. This Stantler belongs to the wild, with its family. Meowth held out the remote control. What can we do to make you see things our way? Meowth wondered. Oh, I know. The Scratch Cat Pokémon pressed a red button on the controls. The robot's mouth opened and metal rods shot out. The rods slammed into the ground all around Brock, trapping him. No! Brock cried. Jessie sneered. Is that all you can say? She said. Not very creative, is it? You really should get a good motto, James said. Of course, ours is taken. Brock knocked down the metal rods. Then he threw a red and white Pokeball. Onyx! Tackle! Brock cried. Light flashed, and out came a rock snake Pokemon. A rock snake Pokemon. Ash knew that Onyx was probably Brock's most powerful Pokémon. Onyx didn't hesitate. The rock and ground type Pokémon slammed into the robot Stantler. The robot rocked back and forth. Onyx, bind attack, commanded Brock. Onyx wrapped its long body around the robot Stantler, squeezing the metal. There was a sickening sound as the robot collapsed under the incredible pressure. Onyx released its grip. The robot exploded into a mess of wires and gears. Onyx! Roared Onyx in its gravelly voice. Good work, Onyx, Brock cheered. Ash started to cheer too. Then he noticed something. A net dangled from the basket of Team Rocket's balloon. Brock! Ash shouted. They've still got Stantler. Ooh, Chapter 11. Save that Stantler. The balloon rose into the air. Nya, 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 taunted James. You can't get us. Ash thought fast. Pikachu, Thunderbolt. He told the electric-type Pokemon. Pikachu! The air sizzled as Pikachu hurled a bolt of electricity at the balloon, but the attack fell short. Your puny Pikachu can't reach us, said Meowth gleefully. We're too high. Ash quickly threw another Pokeball. He wasn't going to let Team Rocket get away. Bulbasaur, use your Vine Whip, fast, Ash yelled. Bulbasaur appeared and quickly jumped up on the high rock. Long green vines lashed out of its plant bulb. The vines couldn't reach. The balloon floated away over the treetops. No, Brock cried. Jessie and James rolled their eyes. He really does need a better line than that, Jessie said. Suddenly, a loud rumbling echoed across the mountains. Ash watched, amazed, as a large herd of Stantler gathered on a cliff just above them. Is that an illusion too? Misty asked. Brock shook his head. I don't think so. I think they're here to help. The largest Stantler in the herd took a flying leap off the cliff. The Stantler soared through the sky, ripping the net with its antlers. It also tore a hole in Team Rocket's balloon. Looks like Team Rocket's running away again, Ash said, as Jessie, James and Meowth ran out of the fallen balloon and into the woods. Ash turned to Brock. We did it! We saved the Stantler! Bulbasaur set the young Stantler on the ground. The Stantler herd came out of the woods, led by the large Stantler. It nuzzled the Stantler's nose. See, Brock said softly, I told you this is where you belong. The young Stantler looked into Brock's eyes. Then it turned around and followed the herd. Good luck, little guy, Brock whispered. Achoo! As the Stantler herd disappeared around a bend, Misty leaned back against a tall tree. That was something, she remarked. This city looked like such a peaceful place, but I'm exhausted from all this action. It certainly is interesting out here in the west, Brock said. I wonder what's waiting for us in Violet Town. Ash grinned. It's a mystery to me. The end.
Why?